Alternate Focus interviews Akai Sharon and Noam Kayut, both veterans of the Israeli Defense Forces. All young Israelis, male and female, with few exceptions, are required to serve 2 to 3 years of active military duty in the Israeli Defense Forces. Sharon and Kayut served during the Second Intifada, a 4-year-long bloodbath that claimed the lives of over 3,000 Palestinians and 950 Israelis. After thorough introspection, these young men have chosen to speak out about their experiences as self-described brutal occupiers of a disputed land. And Sharon and Kayut are not alone. They are members of a new forum for young Israeli Defense Forces veterans called Breaking the Silence.
First I'll quote my Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel that said that the public opinion in the U.S. is the most powerful weapon that the IDF has, or that Israel has. And I think in this case he's right. And I think that the public opinion here and society here immunes us and enable us to do many things that in my opinion are bringing to our social destruction. And I can give you another extreme example, which a soldier that Avichai interviewed, right? One of us interviewed, and he's in a unit, that engineer unit. They're actually, what they're doing is to blow up things, bridges, houses, and the IDF didn't use them at the beginning of that intifada. The first time they used them was 9/11. 10 minutes after the airplane hit the tower, the first airplane hit the tower, they were on their way to Jenin to blow up houses. Like that, I can tell you what he says. The soldier that was interviewed, the big brother wasn't looking, wasn't watching. So that's how much things are connected. And I think we realized after the second campaign that after the campaign of the rule of engagement and the systematic reason for innocent casualties, we realized that it was well publicized, but it didn't bring up any real debate in society. And because there are many reasons. The most powerful one, I think, is that these are things that you can't criticize. I mean, you can't classify as rotten apple. It's hard for society to face. And I think we realized that there is a bigger game going on, that we're not the only player in this game, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
The public opinion of the United States is, as he said, something that enables us to continue this reality. And just like we're doing back home, trying to force sometimes this truth, the stories, onto the Israeli public so they'll be aware of them, is exactly what we came here to do, is to bring this to the homes of the American society, Jews, Americans, and all Americans. Tell them this is what is really going on. It's about time that you know what you're enabling.
It has been more than 16 years since a civilian working for the Navy was charged with passing secrets to Israel. Jonathan Pollard pled guilty to conspiracy to commit espionage and is serving a life sentence. At first, Israeli leaders claimed Pollard was part of a rogue operation, but later took responsibility for his work. Now, Fox News has learned some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S., who may have known things they didn't tell us before September 11th. Fox News correspondent Carl Cameron has details in the first of a four-part series.
Since September 11th, more than 60 Israelis have been arrested or detained, either under the new Patriot anti-terrorism law or for immigration violations. A handful of active Israeli military were among those detained, according to investigators, who say some of the detainees also failed polygraph questions when asked about alleged surveillance activities against and in the United States. There is no indication that the Israelis were involved in the 9/11 attacks, but investigators suspect that the Israelis may have gathered intelligence about the attacks in advance and not shared it. A highly placed investigator said there are, quote, tie-ins, but when asked for details, he flatly refused to describe them, saying, quote, evidence linking these Israelis to 9/11 is classified. I cannot tell you about evidence that has been gathered. It's classified information. Fox News has learned that one group of Israelis, spotted in North Carolina recently, is suspected of keeping an apartment in California to spy on a group of Arabs who the United States is also investigating for links to terrorism.
Cameron also described an investigation into the possibility that an Israeli firm generated billing data that could be used for intelligence purposes, and described concerns that the federal government's own wiretapping system may be vulnerable.
Los Angeles, 1997. A major local, state, and federal drug investigation sours. The suspects? Israeli organized crime, with operations in New York, Miami, Las Vegas, Canada, Israel, and Egypt. The bad guys had the cops' beepers, cell phones, even home phones under surveillance. Some who did get caught admitted to having hundreds of numbers and using them to avoid arrest.
Carl, is there any reason to suspect in this instance that the Israeli government is involved?
No, there's not, but there are growing instincts and an awful lot of law enforcement officials in a variety of agencies who suspect that and have begun compiling evidence and a highly classified investigation into precisely that possibility.